Welcome to the 10-Minute Life Lesson Podcast. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. I train people for improved personal and professional development, offering my assistance to those ready to develop their goals into tangible, focused, and achievable plans of action. And this podcast is one of the tools I use to accomplish my mission. Generally, when the timer hits 9 minutes and 59 seconds on this recording, you'll have a fully developed life lesson that you can take with you and begin to implement immediately. And if this week's lesson has a ring of familiar, then it's probably a reinforcement of a life change you've already started to implement. This podcast falls under the umbrella of my greater personal development efforts, all under the Your Better You brand. For more information on accountability coaching or to gain access to tools, tricks, and life hacks, visit yourbetteryou.info. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. Now, here is this week's life lesson. Being told you are talented can be a blessing and it can be a curse. For those who have the talent and the backing to make it happen, being told they can achieve something is usually the catalyst to launch them to great heights. Being told they cannot achieve something is usually a way to down someone from going up and taking on a challenge that they probably could have taken on. But the real travesty comes when you tell someone they have the talent, they have the ability, they could probably go all the way, and then you don't give them the resources to take it on. You tell them they probably could have been great, but they just needed the right schooling, the right training, the right situation, the right teammates, the right location, the right people in their lives to make things happen. But deny them the chance to find those right things to make it happen, or at least give it a try. With this, talent becomes a serious curse when you're told you have what it takes to make things happen, but then can't find a way to make it happen because you're kind of stuck on your own without any direction, and the things that are out there that you know you need that can help you out just aren't easily available. They're not in arm's reach. They're not available at the local library. They're not right there sitting in front of your face that you just hadn't noticed all this time. Talent becomes an issue for people who find that their talent is not lacking, but their resources and ability are lacking because of situations. So what do you do about something like this? Oddly enough, you're going to limit your ability, that's your ability, to dole out compliments like candy. It is great to tell young children they can do anything they want to, but at some point they realize the things they want to do and the things they have talent to do are two separate things, and sometimes they really are two separate things. Once someone realizes they don't have the talent and ability to do something, don't encourage them to try to do it anyway when it's something that's near impossible. By no means stop encouraging them to continue on, or let them continue to have the dream to stay close to that thing they want to be in, but at some point your talent runs out. There are plenty of people who are waiting on practice squads for the NFL for their one shot to get on the field and show everybody that didn't draft them they deserve to be there. And that happens every so often. But there are plenty of guys on that same practice squad who know that they were lucky to stick around this long and they keep milking of what they have. Maybe it can be a ticket to something greater. On the same notion, you should not discount a person who has a capable talent that might be able to make something happen. There may be that long shot in the crowd that they could overcome if you give them enough praise. It's not a matter of someone who's tone deaf, who cannot sing and thinks they're the star of the show. Maybe they can be the star of the show, just not by singing. Maybe they can learn some other thing. Maybe they can learn about how things work in the background and become a great producer or a great arranger, a great songwriter. They may just not have the ability to be the next best obvious thing, that's the headliner on stage. And that may be something they'll have to work themselves out to deal with. But don't discount someone's shortcomings as lack of talent. Maybe they're not fully talented in the obvious, but they can do something in the wings, in the backgrounds, or even be the support for someone to make things happen. But as I already said, the real travesty is telling someone they can do it and then holding them back, not giving them resources, not allowing them access to try to do it. What do you do about that? Well, if you're going to give somebody a compliment, be willing to give them the full compliment. Give them all you can. Tell them what you think about what they're doing and how well they're doing it. Don't hold back. Give them the honest truth. If they're a child, you don't want to sugarcoat it and overdo it, but you want to give them the real, what they believe they can do compared to what you believe that they can do. And if you're going to step up and give the compliment, you need to be able to give a little bit of support. Give them some options. If you can't physically do it, tell them some ways they can do stuff. Offer to assist them in trying to find out how to make things happen. Don't just leave people in a lurch when you're offering up all these great congratulatory honors for them. Make sure you're there as a part of what's going on. This is a part of being a mentor in general. This is a part of just being a normal human being for people who are around you. There will be plenty of people in your life that you will weave in and out of that you'll find have some talent and gift for something. And sometimes they need what seems like random validation, just somebody to notice that they're doing a pretty good job at it. So if you see someone with a talent and you recognize it as a talent, just let them know. Say, hey, that's a pretty good thing you did there. Ask them a little bit about it. See how long you've been working on it. See where they think you're going with it. If you think it's good, tell them it's good. If you're not so sure it's so great, tell them that you're not so sure you understand it. Why are they into it? Is there something they're going with it? Is there some parallel they can jump onto to make it work maybe better? Maybe they are stalled because they're blinded by the talent that they believe they have that they don't see. It's not your job to crush their dreams unless you're a Simon Cowell type, but it could be your job to help them see a little better. Find a way to coax them to take off the rose-colored glasses for a few minutes so that everything doesn't look like it's roses. They can see things for the reality that they're living in. And most importantly, if you see someone that has some talent that knocks you off your feet, you may not be the one that can take them all the way to Hollywood, but you better not be the one that holds them back from taking that step forward. You better either show them some love, show them some support, give them thumbs up and likes on Facebook and Twitter, even if that's the most you can do. You better show them all you can and give them encouragement so they can keep on going. Because it's those people who do have the raw talent that have the inability to get all the details and all the actions and all the functions and everything lined up in front of them to take that easy route that have the real issues. If you've ever tried out for anything in your life, you know just how tough it is just to stand up there in the spotlight and give it a go. People are staring at you. People are watching you. They're waiting to see you succeed or they're waiting to see you fail. Either way, you're on a pedestal by yourself and they're waiting to see something. When you know someone who has an ability and they just want to do their best to express it and maybe let them use that ability to take them to another level, give them a hand if you can. Don't be stingy with compliments. At the same time, don't give compliments they don't deserve. Give them the real without doing the keeping it real so that you're not doing anything to diminish what they're doing. They're not so great at it, but they love it. Let them keep the love and help them be a little greater in the process. And if they happen to be pretty good in it, but just can't figure out how to move forward, offer them encouragement, offer them help. Do not hold them back. Do not say something like, well, it'd be great if you had a way to make this work out, but since you don't, you might as well just give this thing up because it's just going to hurt your feelings. That is what's going to hurt their feelings. Give them help. Give them encouragement. Sometimes it's just a couple of words to say, hey, I hear you. I see you. That looks pretty cool. I'm not an expert, but I like what I see, to keep them going just a little bit more, going just a little further, and studying up just a bit longer to maybe find that way. And maybe they never make it to the big time, but maybe they always get the enjoyment of what they're doing and showing people who can't get access to those big time players what the big time might look like. Maybe their role is not to be a superstar, but to show superstar talent to those who can't see it every day. Make sure you're a superstar to help them make that happen. Thank you for listening to this week's edition of the 10-Minute Life Lesson Podcast, the actual very first episode of this podcast. And let me tell you, it felt really good to do the 10-minute format again. It felt really good to get into that, making that work out again. Hopefully you will enjoy what you're going to get from now on, because it will be a lot like what it was before for 150 episodes, although there were some changes here and there, of course. And definitely not like what you've heard for the past 12 weeks or so, listening to the recap, the after action report, if you will, on the 10-Minute Life Coach podcast. We went through 11 different episodes for 11 different lessons learned while doing the full podcast. And somewhere in the early stages, we decided, even though we were just pushing this out because the feed was still alive, I decided to keep this thing going. I did consult a few people, and they said it was a good idea to keep it going in the form that it is. So it is what it is. There's no longer a 10-minute life coach, so there's no longer a $10 life coach, and there's no longer all that stuff. But all the personal development work that I have been doing and will continue to do will live under a new name, a new moniker, at Your Better You. So if you want info on the coaching I'm still doing, check out yourbetteryou.info. There's info on accountability coaches, which is the biggest thing I'm doing right now, plus just general coaching there as well. And you can just pick up tips, tricks, other things to do that can help you out off the bat. And since that is the home for this new podcast, it also was already the home for another podcast, very successful one, over 110 episodes, I believe is the right number right now, for Steps Your Better You. And of course, the home for the book I created on that brand, Quick Steps Your Better You. Find more information about that brand, the whole entire brand, I should say, that podcast in particular, and other things that I've been working on for the past 2 years or so in that brand by going to yourbetteryou.info. Everything that was on the 10-Minute Life Coach is migrating quickly to that spot, including an archive for the 10-Minute Life Coach podcast. We'll work on that piece by piece as well. A lot of that got wrapped up into my major shift in bad websites going down, losing some information. You can always follow me and my personal endeavors, all the other crazy things I have going on, at jclevelandpayne.net. And if you want to email me directly, send me an email to jclevelandpayne@gmail.com. I promise you I will get to it as quickly as possible. It is, very flooded with various other things coming in. We are going to stay committed and dedicated to the 10-minute life in this. So 10 minutes of a lesson, very short wrap up on the back end. Hopefully you were okay with the hiatus that we had and the shifting to the new style. That sounds like the old style. And hopefully you'll stick around and help us grow this thing back up to right where it was, right towards the end. We found it wasn't dying, so we figured we'd let it live with a different sort of focus. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the podcast. Join me next week for another great edition, and make sure you subscribe. It's the same feed, so if people were following it before and you want to send new people to it, send them to the same feed, the same source. Everything works exactly the same as it did for whatever you get caught on your podcast on, and ratings and reviews are always welcome. Of course, subscribe so you can join us again next week, and just be here next week for another edition of this new thing. It is the 10-Minute Life Lesson Podcast.